So, as of recording this video, my Dead by Discussion series has reached 183 videos. So, as of recording this video, I'm almost at 200 Dead by Discussion videos. I have reached over 300 Dead by Daylight videos, and today I have come to the conclusion that the Dead by Daylight community sucks at discussion content. Now, what's really interesting to me is that out of every video game community I've ever been a part of, and all of the different types of content I've seen out there, the Dead by Daylight community is the one where discussion content thrives. No other community, at least that I have seen, no other video game community that I have seen has such a heavy emphasis on talking about the game as a form of content. Most of the time, it is things like news updates or challenge runs, or if you're like really good at the video game, then you'll get a lot of YouTube videos, gameplays and stuff like that. I have never seen a gaming community where there is a big core side of the content creation sphere whose main thing it is to just make commentary content about the game, about the community, and about the devs. And for a community that does that, you guys suck at discussions. I say you guys, I'm probably in that as well. But today I thought we would just go ahead and go down the list and just go over how many things infuriate me when it comes to the Dead by Daylight community and the way that they talk about things. The first thing is, and I've brought this up in the past, most of you do not listen. I recently released a video where I was talking about, stop nerfing perks or stop calling for perk nerfs. And in that video, I went on a kind of mini rant about distortion, which I do plan on making a video that's like fully scripted so I can break down all my points and actually think them out before I say them about distortion, and it'll be my last video on distortion. But in that rant, I explicitly laid out several reasons why I don't like distortion, and people in the comment sections were still commenting shit like, I don't know why you don't like distortion. What do you mean you don't know? I literally said it. I literally said it right there. And this is just such a common problem. I said it specifically, actually, when it comes to distortion, where having a conversation around the perk seems completely fruitless, because people who want the perk changed are basically never listened to. And people who don't want the perk changed will create points never said and talk about things that were never discussed and completely just bring up just asinine arguments. But it isn't just with distortion. The conversation around the Skull Merchant is in a very similar situation, where people who are either pro Skull Merchant, or if you're like me, where I just really don't care one way or the other about the character, will sit there and be like, no, there is counterplay and there is ways to play around the character. There's blah, 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 blah. And then you give them a list, and then all the Skull Merchant haters just throw up their hands and go, no, that doesn't make any sense. There's no counterplay. I hate there's no counterplay. Just because it's counterplay you don't personally like doesn't mean it's not counterplay. Now, you want to have a discussion around, whether or not the counterplay is healthy for the game. That's a completely different argument. But this community doesn't do that kind of thing. This community is very, very set in just not listening to points that are being made. Another problem I have, and this is one that, I'm not necessarily mad at the people who do this. I understand, but I need you guys to stop. I really fucking hate when people try to disagree with me on something and they bring up what role they main or how many hours they have. Respectfully, I do not care. I don't care if you're a killer main. I don't care if you're a survivor main. I don't care if you've been playing for 40,000 hours or 40 hours. I don't care. What I care about is the meat of your argument. What are you saying? What are you trying to discuss? What are you talking about? Your experience means nothing to me, because if you say some shit I disagree with, I'm not going to disagree with what you're saying and then look at the fact that you're a kid. Like, okay, for example, back to the distortion thing. I really need to stop bringing it up because I already know what the comments are going to look like. But back to the distortion thing. I had somebody go, I'm a killer main and I think distortion's fine. I don't care that you're a killer main. Nobody cares that you're a killer main and you think distortion's fine. Literally, it is about what the perk represents in an objective setting. It's about how it affects the health of the game. I don't give a shit if you play killer and don't care about distortion. That has nothing to do with what you're talking about. And it is also one of the things that makes me just not want to listen to your argument. Because if you feel the need to try to justify the argument you're about to make based off things that are not related to the argument, then it doesn't matter. It's not a point that I feel like is worth listening to. And that frustrates me because the whole point of starting this goddamn channel was to open up the floor for healthy discussions about the game. Throw in a little jokes here and there, make fun of some people who deserve to be made fun of, and all around talk about a game that we're all supposed to love and adore and care for. And I feel like I can't fucking do that because half of the time you guys just go off on tangents that don't make any goddamn sense. You ignore points that are being made, you bring up irrelevant shit, and then some comments are just completely fucking unhelpful. But the thing that pisses me off the most, the thing that is made me sit down to make this video about the Dead by Daylight community, is recently Vecna got nerfed. And I was upset about it for many reasons. Reasons that I straight up stated in the video, but as we've already discussed, people don't listen to what's being said. I am not saying that the nerfs killed Vecna, or that he's super weak now, or whatever whatever words people were putting in my mouth. I was upset because of the principle of the matter, because Vecna got nerfed because the moment that dude came out, people started bitching about him. And before the nerfs even happened, as a Vecna main, I was already seeing people learning and doing the counterplay to Vecna. There is tons of it. People were constantly teaching it on Twitter. They were constantly talking about it on YouTube. There was all sorts of really good Survivor players that were talking about how you play against Vecna and how to do it better. And like I said in my Vecna rant, my very first one that I ever did, it's because you have to play against him in a vastly different way than you play against other killers. Because he can pick the pallet up with Mage Hand, you have to learn how to greed the pallet or go for the stun. Pre-dropping doesn't work against Vecna, but people don't give a shit about any of that. They don't want to fucking hear that. They just want to fucking go off and do whatever they want. But regardless of all of that, it is not the nerfs themselves that pissed me off. It was two things. It was one, the fact that the nerfs were not what he needed changed. They weren't the changes he needed at all. And number two, it was the principle of the matter. The fact that this character had not even been out for an entire month yet, and we were already nerfing them. And these nerfs got announced like 2 weeks ago. The nerfs got announced before they happened. So we know that they've been working on this shit for at least a couple of weeks now because of all the bitching and moaning. That was my point. But people just ignored that. But that's not the main thing. It's not just people ignoring my points because we've already discussed that. It's the fact that you guys, for some reason, think that kill rate means what it means a lot. So Vecna apparently had a 70% kill rate within the game. And that is mostly due to people not being able, mostly due to people not learning how to play against the character. It's a very, very similar situation to Skull Merchant, where people just gave up, whether it be giving up on Hook, DCing, or morally. They just saw Vecna and they were like, oh, I guess I can't play against him. I guess I'll just pre-drop everything and then I'll lose because I don't know how to adapt my playstyle. And so they just started dying left and right. Nobody in their goddamn right mind would take Skull Merchant's fucking kill rate and say she was the strongest killer in the game before Vecna came out, because that's an asinine fucking statement, because you can't use kill rates to determine that. The strongest killer in the game, hands down, is Nurse. It's always been Nurse, and until the day some other killer comes out that can negate every bit of distance a Survivor gains, it's always going to be Nurse. And Vecna was not even in the A tier before these nerfs. He's definitely not now. He was not even in the A tier. He couldn't make it to the A tier because none of his powers were good enough to carry him into the A tier. I spoke about this when I spoke about Vecna, but Vecna's entire thing is being a jack of all trades and a master of none. His anti-loop, his zoning, his information, and his map traversal are all weaker versions of characters who do that one thing and do it extremely well. And so he was never in the A tier. He wasn't even close. But people just ignore that. They just don't know how to talk. One fucking person out of goddamn nowhere was like, oh, the killer players when they're upset that they don't get to win games for free. Who's winning games for free? Are you that bad at Survivor? Do you need help? Do you need a hug? Are you that terrible at Survivor that you think Killer is just winning the game for free? Learn how to do something besides W into a dead zone, I guess. The thing is that the entirety of the Dead by Daylight community does so much when it comes to just like fallacies and just bad argumentative points and not thinking the things through that they say and just terrible. They are terrible at discussions. And again, I find it ironic because discussion content is the cornerstone of content creation for Dead by Daylight on YouTube. All of the most popular, not all of the most popular creators, but most of the most popular creators are not build showcases or gameplays. It's discussion. It's the meat. It's the main thing you find when you go on to DBD YouTube. But that's all I have for you guys today. I guess the last thing I want to say is that if you don't see me in the comments as often as I used to be, it's because I'm just tired, guys. I'm just tired. As always, a great big special thank you to my channel members listed on screen now. If you want to find out how to become a channel member today, get awesome perks like seeing videos early, first discount codes, and more, then please click that join button down below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Need more Kaiser in your life? Well, I've got you covered. Check out my second channel, The Kaiser Extras, where I upload full gameplays, stream compilations, me reacting to your Dead by Daylight clips, and more. We also upload a daily short with all the greatest clips from stream. We'll see you over there. Link is in the description.